Welcome to the second video in Lesson 1, Section 3. So here we will continue our work with examining patterns. So in this first example, we have to complete the chart and then write the relation between the diagram number and the number of dots. So let's look at the first diagram. How many dots do we have here? Well, we just have one. In the second diagram, I count 4 dots. In the third diagram, I count 5 along the bottom and then 2 more on top for a total of 7. And in the fourth diagram, I count 10. Now we're not given the fifth diagram, but you can draw it out to see the pattern, or if we look at what we have so far, 1 to 4 to 7 to 10, you might notice that they're increasing by 3s. So that means the next number should be 13. Now in terms of writing the relation, we've learned a couple of steps to follow from the last video. And that is to first determine what the output values increase by. And we just said that they increased by 3. So we can start off with the equation n equals 3 times d. Next we plug in a number. Any one of the d values at all is fine. So let's just use 1. So 3 times 1 gives us an n value of 3. But if we look at our table, the n value should actually be 1, not 3. So how do we change our equation? How do we change that 3 into a 1? Well, we can subtract 2. We need 2 less than that. So let's make that adjustment to our equation now. So n would equal 3d minus 2. Now, as mentioned in the last video, how it's always important to check. So let's do that here. N equals 3d minus 2. Let's plug in any one of the other values. 4, for example. 3 times 4 is 12, and 12 take away 2 gives you 10. Now you can see that that does correspond with the table, meaning our equation is correct. Let's run through this process again with some different diagrams. So I see that in the first diagram, I count 5 dots. In the second diagram, I count 9. In the third diagram, I count 13. So you can continue the pattern by drawing some more diagrams, or if you just look at the n values, you might notice that they all increase by 4. So that means in the fourth diagram, there should be 17 dots, and in the fifth diagram, 21. So now to write our relation, I'm going to start off by saying n equals 4 times d, because I just said that the values increase by 4. So your equation always starts off this way. Whatever it increases by, you multiply that by the input value. Now we pick a value for d. We can use 1 again. So plugging in d to be 1, we get 4 times 1, which is 4. Now look at the table. The n value should really be 5. So what do we need to do? We need to add 1 onto the equation. So our equation now becomes n equals 4d plus 1. So let's check this now to make sure that it's correct. Let's replace the d value with 2. So we're hoping for a value of 9, because that's what the chart says. So let's work it out. 4 times 2 is 8, and then adding 1 to that is indeed 9. So that means our equation is correct. So hopefully now, going through those examples, you become a bit more comfortable with creating equations from tables and diagrams. So now you can move on to the next video in this lesson.